Aisha, welcome down. Yes. So, for those of us that deal with this issue, raise your hand if you deal with filling seats, if you ever had a problem with that. A lot, right? And I think it's safe to assume that sometimes we deal with fear. We have a fear to invite people.
Especially when you get up on stage.
Especially on stage, right? So how do we get over our fear of inviting people?
Okay, here we go. First of all, for those of you that I don't know, my name is Aisha Harley. I'm a presidential diamond and I am from Portland, Oregon. Okay, so I know it's the end of the day. I want you all to get really present with me. So if you have your phones and you're on Facebook or you're doing something else, I want you to set that down because I really need you to drop in for a minute. And I want you to imagine what your life would be like if you did not have your essential oils.
Fear.
There we go. I want you to imagine what your life would be like if you did not have your doTERRA income.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to imagine what this would be like for your family, for your children, for your loved ones, for your friends, if the essential oils were not a daily part of your life. Okay? So when that fear comes up, just think about if the person that invited you and shared with you was too afraid to tell you about the essential oils. Where would your life be right now? Right? She said divorced. This is a really big deal. And the reason why I want to go back to this is because we get so caught up in our head and with not wanting to be pushy or weird or MLM-y and all these things. But when you go back to the core, we have this amazing, life-changing gift of both the essential oils and the business opportunity. And it is selfish if we don't share this with the people that we love because we have predetermined what we think they're going to think about us in doing so. And I just want to share one last little story here, and then I'll pass it over to you. When I was introduced to the essential oils, I was really ill. I know some of you know my story. I had Lyme disease. I was quite ill, very ill. Kept me from working. I was in a dark place in many ways, physically, mentally, spiritually. And these essential oils, literally, they saved my life. So when you're sharing these oils, you may not realize that you are the answer that somebody is deeply searching for, and that you might just possibly be saving their life. So when that fear comes up, I just want you to remember this moment, and I want you to remind yourself of this gift that you have to share, and it's our job to do so.
Hi, my name is Keely Martinez. I'm a presidential diamond from Reno, Nevada, and there's one person. So anytime I think of fear, or I feel the fear, because it doesn't go away. I hope you guys know that. Like, every single step of this journey, you're gonna feel nervous, you're gonna feel fearful. But for me, it's always been taking it off of myself and looking at who can I serve? Who is out there that I can help? Because oftentimes the fear comes from judgment of what are they gonna think about me? What are they gonna think about the oils? Are they gonna think I'm a part of some, crazy oil cult? Or are they gonna think, are they gonna judge me for using essential oils to support my body? So anytime I think of fear, I think that it's just judgment on myself and judgment on my journey. But when I realize, when I look at who can I serve today, who can I help? And this doesn't need to be a brand new stranger out there. If you have a downline and you're feeling that fear of talking to new people, reach out to even your customer base. Reach out to somebody underneath you Who can you help to understand their oils better? Who can you help to, if they're on LRP, who can you help to maybe talk about sharing the oils to get their oils paid for? Who can you help to introduce them to the oils and get them actually coming to your classes? I will tell you guys, we talk about classes a lot in doTERRA. I kill a one-on-one like nobody's business because it's my zone of genius. So if you're sitting in this room thinking, oh, I need to teach these massive classes and I can't get people there, maybe your approach should be to do great one-on-ones. Because I will tell you, I can do 3 or 4 one-on-ones in a week and enroll 3 or 4 people in a week versus trying to get those people all to come to the same class. So sometimes it's just tweaking your approach as opposed to what you feel like everyone else is doing. You can just do one-on-ones too. So.
All right. Awesome. Round of applause. Yes. Now to follow up with that, so we talked about just our personal fear. What about when we have team members who have that fear? How do we help our team members get over that?
You know, I personally think with your team members, we talk a lot about the strengths-based leadership, right? So we were just talking about how confidence, if you're confident in a skill set, you're gonna shine in that skill set. And so if you don't know your leaders' strengths, if you don't know how they shine, because I'll tell you, I shine in social media. 95% of my organization does not. And so if they feel like that's what they need to do to be successful in this business, they're gonna feel like they are failing. But when you sit down and you look at what are their strengths and how can that apply to their doTERRA business, then all of a sudden they feel confident and they feel like, I can do this. This is how I can invite people. And it's sitting down too and understanding that this is a partnership. We call each other leaders or business builders in this business, but to me it's a partnership. This is something that if I'm sitting down with one of my leaders and they're wanting to get people to classes but they're struggling, let's brainstorm. What works for you? What kind of class would you actually go to? If you haven't sat down and understood what would you actually attend, I cannot encourage you more to figure out how does that look for you. I started off teaching classes at a wine bar. I was a new mom and I wanted to be able to have kind of a mom's night out. So it was grab a glass of wine, I'll teach you about oils. What is that for you? Is that yoga and essential oils? Is it, workouts and essential oils? What is it for you that you can take a basic class but tweak it into something that you're excited about? Because your excitement will attract people into doing classes, into coming to your classes. If you're just throwing out the same old invite of, hey, come to my one-on-one class, it's gonna be awesome, there's no energy behind that. But if you're pumped on essential oils and breathing techniques, and you put out an invite on that with, this is a custom blend that I'm making, you can feel the excitement when you are lit up about something. So you have to transfer that down to your leaders too. What lights them up? Why did they get started? So those are little things that have absolutely helped my team.
All right, thank you. Now next, so we got over our fear, right? We followed your recommendation. And we start to invite, but we just can't get people to our classes. Pamela, this is for you. What can we do differently?
Hello, my name is Pamela Tanimura. I am from Brazil. Anybody from Brazil? I'm super honored to be here. What made me think about is when was the first time that I attended a class. And Joy is here. Joy is my upline and the person who brought me into doTERRA. And she shared with me a small little sample of wild orange. She gave me 10 drops. And at the time I was teaching yoga, and I gave a drop to each of my students. I had 8 students in that class. And all 8 of them came to her event the next day with me because they felt what these oils did for them. So I went back to that basic step of giving an oil experience before the event. And another thing that has been working for us a lot in Brazil is calling. You have to put your face and your voice, right? To make it very personable and very real and authentic. So I call the people that I'm inviting and I ask them, what is it that you want to learn? with these essential oils? What is it that's important to you? What are your health priorities or your family's? Then I make sure that I cover it so they already have an interest coming to the events. And change, like Keely said, she basically covered all these little points, right? Of let's do different. For me, I needed to find my zone of genius, which was I sit down on the floor with the people that I teach classes. I teach yoga and meditation and sound healing, and that's my zone of genius. That's my heart speaking when I teach classes. So what is yours, right? And for me, one-on-ones are awesome too. My sales are much bigger and when I do one-on-ones. So one-on-ones are great. Find where you really feel that the passion of doing what we do, which is bringing hope and better health to people with these oils. Find where your zone of genius is, and the attendance will happen.
Amen. Thank you. Aisha, I want to throw that question at you too. Right? We have them, we're over our fear. We're starting to invite, but they're still not coming. Love that. Thank you, Pamela.
So I have a little strategy for you. I have been building doTERRA, I'm going into my 9th year, and in the last couple of years I've learned 2 tips. I'm going to give credit to Elise Chedevy, Laura Jacobs, and Melina Harrison. So I'm just passing on this information, but there are a couple strategies that I have felt to be a game changer. So I want all of you to have this information. So you've done your invitation. And this is all about timing, and I want you to write down what I say because it's very important you do it exactly as I tell you to. Okay, so 2 days before the event, you call and you say, Keely, I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Just reminding you we have class at 7 p.m. See you then. You do not ask, Keely, are you going to come to class tomorrow? Okay, so it's very important you just make the statement, I am excited to see you. You can even leave the message, but it's important for you to call and leave this message, okay? The day of the event, 2 hours before the event, you're gonna send a text. You're gonna say, Keely, I can't wait to see you in a couple hours. I have a special surprise for you when you get here. Now, what's really important is that the 2-hour mark is when Keely actually is deciding if she's coming. Now, if you think about this, how many events or things have you said, sure, I'll be there. My husband and I do this all the time. Yeah, well, we're gonna come to your party. And then it's the night of the party and it's in Portland and it's cold and it's raining. I'm like, I'd really just rather lay on the couch with the dogs and watch a movie. That's usually at that 2-hour mark. So if you send somebody a text in that moment to say, I can't wait to see you and I have a special surprise, I have a gift, it can be anything. It can be a little oil dram, it can be a sample, it can be anything. Then that's gonna help get them out the door. This is gonna raise your attendance rate to 80%. So this is really gonna help get people there. If they don't show up, you then text them as if it's a really big deal that they didn't come and say, I was really expecting to see you tonight. I'm checking in to make sure that nothing happened. You know, like I was expecting you to be here. I really want to share this information with you. Can we get together for tea next week and I'll go review what we have then. So the timing of that is really important and important to be aware of. Okay, so the second tip, do I still have a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The second tip, this one's from Melina Harrison. And if you are teaching a class for somebody else, and I do one or the other kind of depending on the situation. If you're teaching a class for another group of people and you don't know anybody that's coming, if you get a list of everyone who's gonna be there from the hostess and you personally call them, hi, Keely, my name is Aisha. I'm teaching the class tomorrow. I'd love to know what you most want to learn about. What is it?
Emotions.
Awesome. I'm going to have a special sample for you tomorrow at the class. Make sure and come and say hello when you get there, and I'll give you your sample. Now what this does is because I don't know Keely, as soon as she comes to the class, I'm going to greet her. I'm so excited to meet you. I have a little sample of Balance. I'm going to show you how to put it on, right? Put it on. And then I've made a personal connection And then in the class, I can ask her, how is she liking the balance? And then could have a testimonial. And what this does is we talk about the amount of touches that people need to have before they're ready to buy. And also, if you're a presenter and people don't know you, it's a way for me to establish trust with Keely before I'm asking for the sale at the end of the event. So if you give someone, I always try to make the samples really relevant, like peppermint's really good, deep blue, digestion, tell them how to use it. You can go and ask, how is your backache? How's that deep blue feel? Go in the bathroom, put it on your shoulders. So these are 2 strategy tips that really can help boost the enrollment, or boost getting people into the room, and then also moving forward with enrollments.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this next question is for Diane. Yeah, make some noise. New York in the house, right?
New York, yeah.
Originally from Scotland.
Yeah, so my name's Diane Jelli. I am originally from Scotland, but I live in New York City.
All right, yes. So, what about the people that say they just don't have time? How do you approach these liars?
So that's a great question, because that comes up in New York all the time, right? Everyone in New York has no time. So the first thing I always say to someone is I acknowledge them. I say, I totally get it. Everyone's so busy these days. I was in exactly the same position 6 years ago, where I didn't have time for self-care. I didn't have time to really take care of myself. And usually before that, we've just spoke about some of their health concerns, and I've gave them some solutions. So I'll say, okay, how important is it to you you just told me you want to have less stress. How important is that to you? Okay, let's find a way how I want to really help you with that. So let's find a way. So I'll give them 3 options. The first option is I could come to your office. If you can spare 20 minutes, I'll do a mini class. Right, if you can't get to my class next Wednesday, I'll come to you, 20 minutes, we'll sit down and do a mini class. Or we can do a Zoom chat at any time that works best for you. And then the third option I usually give them is I also do online classes, and if that works, and I'll say to them, what works best for you? And there's always one, right? They'll tell me what one it is, and one of the biggest things then is get them in the schedule, right? I do a lot of, so I'm really enrolling a lot of strangers, right? I'm talking to the people who don't have big networks or feel like they've ran out of people, right? So I'll do health fairs and networking events. So when I'm talking to these people, I want to get them in my schedule right away, whether that's the class, the one-on-one, or an online event. As long as I'm scheduling them right away, most of the time they show up.
Thank you. All right. Next question is for Andy. Shout out to our only male on the panel. Yes. All right. Yes. So Andy, it was mentioned that people will come to events that they feel a belonging to, right? How do you create this feel at events so that each attendee feels that belonging?
I think that my name's Andy Mosman, by the way. My wife and I reside in Idaho. Do I have any Idahoans here? Anyways, I think that these beautiful ladies have addressed this to a great extent, and I love the fact that when we have the people there, we need to make sure that they have that feeling of belonging. In doTERRA, I like to reflect that we have 3 different people that come in and that gravitate to doTERRA. The people that are looking for health solutions, financial solutions, and also relationship solutions. And so some of these things that have been shared are amazing ways that we can make those people feel that they belong in the situation. Another thing that I think of that we can look at is specify or create different situations or different classes that will draw people to come in. I think of some of the other questions too about how we maybe feel like we're not able to fill seats as much, and so sometimes maybe it's a focus on the type of classes that we're giving. If we in the area we've given the same class over and over, maybe we can study and gain knowledge, and so we can share on other topics. A lot of time that's going to help not only the people we're sharing with, but ourselves as well. We're going to expand our knowledge on different classes, and who knows, Maybe the wonderful old lady down the street hasn't come to your basic class, but when the wife throws out a romancing with oils, she's going to come, and not only is she going to come, but her grandpa's going to drive her there. And so sometimes if we adapt the class that we have, it's going to help. It's going to help people feel belonging to come.
All right. Even Grandpa. Grandpa can come too.
Grandpa can
Yes.
come too, yeah.
Okay, so Pamela, you have an interesting kind of backstory. You're in Hawaii, but you're also in Brazil, and so it's 2019. There's different ways to be creative and step your game up as far as inviting people. Talk to us about some of the creative ways that you promote your events.
Like it's been mentioned before. So I think we get a little tired of the 101 classes, right? The very basic classes. So for our